Welcome back to our special series celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm your host, Bev Diaz Kenyon, an associate at Squire Patton Boggs, and today I am honored to be speaking with Digna French, a member of our firm's global board, chair of the litigation practice in Florida, co-chair of the Miami Latin American Task Force, and regional chair of SWAN, Squire's Women's Affinity Network. Welcome, Digna.
Thank you, Bev. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Now, you have such an impressive array of roles within the firm. So can you start by telling us a bit about your journey and how you came to hold these positions?
Sure. Ever since I could remember, I always wanted to be a lawyer. I've always been very analytical, straightforward, a bit bossy, some might say. And law seemed like the perfect career for me. So, I was the first person in my family to go to college, and becoming a lawyer was important to me. Not just for me, but it was important for me to do it for my family. I went to the University of Miami. I went there undergrad. I went there law school. And I've been working at the same firm, including Squire's predecessor firm, since day one after graduation. And I was very intentional in where I chose to go to work when I graduated from law school. I knew I wanted to stay in Miami, but I wanted to go to a great firm where I knew I could grow and I would stay long term. And, at the time, I wanted a reputable firm that was big enough and not so big that I would get lost in the shuffle. And I found my home, and I've never left Miami. Some think it's a little too linear of a path, boring even, but I love it here. I love the diversity, the mix of cultures. And then as far as positions with the firm, I've always made it known to management that I wanted to get involved in leadership roles so long as I could be helpful to the firm. So while I slowed down somewhat during some of my years, some of my daughter's pivotal years in school, I always knew I wanted to assume leadership responsibilities. So once I knew that I had the time to dedicate to leadership positions in addition to my caseload, whenever an opportunity came about, I always raised my hand. And I worked hard. I worked hard in smaller roles to prove that I could be helpful in a broader, larger setting, because leadership is a journey, right? It takes time. It doesn't just happen overnight. And the firm has always been very, very receptive to allowing people from within to assume these roles.
I think that's great. And a couple points you mentioned that really stick to me. The first being that, you're first generation college student lawyer. I am as well. And I think that's a very common characteristic you see of a lot of folks in our group. So it's really nice to kind of have role models to look up to and see, if they can do it, we can too. Yeah. And I also think that what you shared about, starting at Squire's predecessor and still being here, I love to meet folks who have done that, because I think it's a testament to the kind of firm that Squire is, and the fact that people start here and they stay here and they have flourishing careers working at the firm and with the community here.
Yeah, 100%. You need support at home in order to be able to do it, and you need support at the firm. And this firm has truly been extraordinarily supportive in that regard.
Great. Well, thank you so much for telling us your story. It was very inspiring. And I'm wondering if you could share a bit more about your work specifically with SWAN and, also with Juntos SPB, and just generally more about your involvement in the firm's employee resource groups.
Yeah, so SWAN is a fantastic initiative. It supports the professional development and advancement of women within the firm. And as a member, I mentor other female attorneys, provide guidance. I help create opportunities for their growth. It's important to me because I believe in the power of mentorship and the impact it can have on someone's career. Supporting and uplifting each other is crucial for creating a more inclusive and equitable workplace. I had excellent mentors when I was a young lawyer, and I truly believe that it shaped me into the lawyer that I am today. It really does make a difference. And it's interesting because, it's interesting that we're discussing this now, because I just returned from a 3-day event in Chicago that our firm sponsors. It's the Whipple event, Women, Influence, and Power in Law. It was 3 days of in-depth discussions of issues that are critical to women in law. And it was pretty spectacular.
Wow, that is really awesome. I haven't heard of that one yet, so I'd love to hear more about it offline.
Will do for sure.
So speaking of mentorship, can you share some insights on your approach to mentoring and why it's significant to you?
I enjoy mentoring. Mentoring is about sharing experiences, offering guidance, being a source of support. I personally like the personalized approach, understanding each mentee's unique goals and challenges. Squire is a big firm, and sometimes that could be daunting. It's significant to me because, as I said, I had mentors who played a pivotal role in my career, and I want to pay it forward. Mentoring helps build confidence. It provides valuable insights. It fosters a sense of community. And it's incredibly fulfilling to see my mentees succeed and grow. And equally as fulfilling when they come to me and they ask me for advice and they value my input. Sometimes all that is needed is someone to listen to you and to show you an opening that you might not see at that moment.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I can't agree more. I deeply value my mentoring relationships, both on a personal level and a professional level. So, like I said before, you're also a member of Juntos, which is our firm's Hispanic and Latinx employee resource group, which is why we're here today. What is being a part of Juntos like for you, and why is it important?
I'm a huge cheerleader for Latinos. I was born and raised in Miami, but my parents are from Cuba, as is my sister. They came to this country with absolutely nothing and without speaking a single word of English. And they worked very hard and were able to provide a beautiful and fulfilling life for my sister and for me. And they always instilled in me a sense of pride of where we come from and my background. And, I'm incredibly proud of my heritage. Growing up, it was prevalent in my daily life, and it still very much is. So I've always been involved in everything having to do with the Latina and Latino organizations at the firm. Juntos provides for the development of opportunities and connections for its members. And as a Latina woman, I want to be a part of that.
That's awesome. And great to be speaking with a fellow Cubana. My dad also came to the United States as a young child and didn't speak a lick of English and, found his way, found a great career and made amazing lives for us as well. So
that's great. I didn't know that you were Cuban, but that's great to hear.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I meet more people who are Cuban nowadays than I did when I was younger. I feel like we're coming out of the woodwork, if you will.
We're everywhere, to be honest.
Yes. So how has being a Latina influenced the work that you do?
Okay, I can go on for hours on this. So when I was growing up, we only spoke Spanish at home. As I mentioned, no one in my family spoke English. So Spanish was actually my first language. English came later. And, also when I went to study undergrad, my parents basically told me, we'll support you. We'll pay for your education. You can study whatever you want, but you must also study Spanish. So I basically had to get 2 degrees, one that I really didn't want to get at the time, right? As you can imagine, I thought my Spanish was perfect. Why do I have 4 years of Spanish when I already speak perfect Spanish? Of course, my Spanish was not perfect. It still isn't. And while I hated it at the time, sitting here today, I'm eternally grateful to my parents for making me study Spanish throughout, because being fully bilingual has undoubtedly been the key to my ability to grow my practice and my career at the firm. It really has made all the difference. I do a lot of work with Latin American clients, and knowing and learning their idiosyncrasies, their way of being, their values, the culture, the challenges they face, their language. It's all been critical to developing business and most importantly, getting them to trust me and want to do business with me. And for that, I'm, for my Latina background, I'm also very, very grateful.
Wow. I really like that. If you will, I want to be you when I grow up. I grew up not speaking Spanish, but it was really important to me. So I made a point to learn. And, I'm still very early in my career, but any chance I get, I try to use my Spanish, be it with pro bono clients or, billable clients. So that's really great that you've been able to find a way to use that, I think, invaluable skill in your career.
Yeah, and it, like I said, I'm not exaggerating when I say that it's made all the difference in the world. It's because of the Spanish language skills that I am where I am, to be honest.
I love that. So what advice would you give to professionals who are trying to reach partnership, especially those from Hispanic Latinx backgrounds?
I believe the Hispanic community is the largest minority group in the U.S., so the potential client pool is large. But you have to understand their values and you have to get them to trust you. Once you're able to get into a rhythm with your client base, then you'll be surprised at how the clients will begin to call you. And also get involved. The firm offers many wonderful opportunities, and doing so will help you. It'll help you gain visibility within the firm too, which is also very important. We're a big firm, and it's important for your colleagues to know who you are and what you do, what your specialties are, so that they can call on you whenever a matter arises where you might be able to assist.
That's great. And I agree. I think that that's one of the strengths of a big firm is that there are so many opportunities for you to really sharpen your skills and show your worth to other folks and to yourself. So thank you for that advice. And before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to share about your experience as a Latina professional in the legal field?
Yeah, just for all Latinas and Latinos and everyone really, know that you're good enough and believe it. You need to believe that. There's a reason why you are where you are. You need to find your little voice that will support you when you're going to do something and you feel scared or not good enough. It's normal to be scared, but find a fight song, your motto, something to remind you that you can do it and that you can do it well. And then, go out there and show them confidently.
That's awesome. And I feel like I need that constant reminder. So I appreciate that.
I do as well. I mean, even after, all these years, you have to be constantly reminding yourself. God knows there's all kinds of things indicating that you cannot do it, right? So you have to find it within yourself and know that you can do it because you can.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much, Digna. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with us. This has been an amazing conversation. I feel like I learned so much about you and that we have a lot in common. And I think some of the insight you gave was extremely valuable to our listeners and to me.
Thank you, Bev. I learned quite a bit from you as well. We need to get together in person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank you. And Feliz Mes de la Herencia Hispana a todos, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us today. Please join us next week for our final episode of the series. And if anyone has any questions or would like to get involved with the Juntos Employee Resource Group, please reach out to the Office of DEI.